Right, hi everybody, it's Mike Cooch, and I'm sitting here with salesperson extraordinaire Ben Berghoff. He's wearing my least favorite shirt today, his Colorado Buffalo shirt. I went to Colorado State University.
I went to see you.
And he knows that this gets my goat, so he wears this stuff in the office. Anyway, this video is for buyers of the Chase formula, and one of the most common questions I got asked from people who had purchased that was how to handle gatekeepers when they're on the phone. So we're making these phone calls, we're doing email campaigns. Inevitably, we're going to reach gatekeepers, right? That's just a part of sales. And people were asking, how do you handle that? You know, what's the approach? And so what I thought I'd do was just go ahead and sit down here with Ben. As I said in the previous video that I did with Ben, Ben is like our, he's the dream sales guy. If you can get him on your team, very reliable, very consistent, outperforms all the other salespeople by big numbers. A lot of that is just kind of basic blocking and tackling stuff, right? And just being consistent and getting after it every day. I know that that's your philosophy and your approach.
Organized, yep.
Yep, being organized, all that good stuff. So I thought I'd just get him here, sit down, talk to him. We can learn from him. Who better to learn from, right, than somebody who's getting it done every day. And ask him how he deals with gatekeepers when he's approaching them. So nothing real organized here. I didn't give him really any prep time at all. Just said, hey, come in here, we're going to stick a camera in front of your face. So let's just talk about it a bit, and then I think maybe we'll even just role play a call if we could here. But why don't we start with just generally talking about the kind of approach that you take when you're dealing with gatekeepers. So you're making calls, you get a hold of, it's a secretary at a professional office or something, let's just say, okay? One of those tough ladies that knows that her job is protecting the time of some of the senior people at that company, isn't just going to give that up easily, gets probably 100 calls from people like you every day. What's your approach to getting through?
Sure. Call me sappy, call me Mr. Nice Guy, but I am always a big fan of showing respect to whoever it is that you have the opportunity to speak to. So if I call in and get the decision maker right away, great. If I call in and get the gatekeeper right away, I'm going to treat them with equal respect. That's not to say that I'm going to waste a whole lot of time. If I get a gatekeeper and I'm able to easily determine that they're not the one that's going to be making the decision, I'm not going to be spending all of my time pitching the gatekeeper. So it's important to know that. Mike's right, he didn't give me a lot of notice here. I just took a second to write down some notes on some things that I do every day that it's good to write them down because I don't even think about them anymore. I just do them so much. So it's just important to remember that it's a numbers game. What I say or what Mike says or anybody else, there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all approach. You're not going to beat every gatekeeper every time with any strategy. So you just have to have that in your mind and just know that you got to keep motoring through. I am a big fan of organization, like Mike said earlier. I'll write down everything from all of my calls so that I can remember. Chances are I might not get through the gatekeeper the first time around, but maybe the second time around I have better success. So I'm going to ask for things like their name if they don't give it up voluntarily. I'm going to give them a chance. Like I said, I'm going to treat them as though I would treat the decision maker. I'm going to give them a chance to say, yeah, I can help you with that, or correct me if I have the wrong name. Maybe they'll point me down the correct path so I don't waste all of my time going to the wrong person. I'm going to ask for the time. I'm going to be polite about it. And one of my big pet peeves is make sure that you do your homework before you call. There's nothing worse than a sales guy calling to sell you something and they don't even know who they're calling, what industry they're calling, anything about the business whatsoever. So I'm a fan of take 30 seconds if you have it, take 5 minutes to review their website, their business, so that you can go in with a very short abbreviated elevator pitch as to why you're asking for their time. Is that
great?
A good intro?
Yeah, that's great. So some important things here I'd like to cover. So one, he talked about being polite and treating them with respect. And anybody who knows Ben is super polite, super respectful. That's his style. I don't think Ben could be rude to somebody if his life depended on it. So, but that philosophy always worked for me too. I mean, when I was making calls when I started my previous business, I did the cold calling to get that thing off the ground for the first 6 months or so. And yeah, I always treated people with the same degree of respect that I would as if I was talking to the CEO of the company. And I think that makes a big difference. Gatekeepers don't always get treated that way by salespeople. A lot of them get talked down to and treated just like they're a pest and they're in the way. When you get calls like that all day long, and then you get somebody who calls you up and actually treats you like a decent human being, you'd be surprised how far that gets you.
With that being said, I would just say, it's important not to be fake either.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Being nice to somebody is fine, but wasting their time with niceties, they can see through that too.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, it's just a good middle ground you have to find.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's true. Let's see here. One of the other things that you said, so do your homework. I can't stress that one enough. So that's in the course. We talk about the ultimate advantage that you have in selling these services is how visible it is to be able to go and see what your clients are currently doing in regards to your services. You can go and see, do they have a website that's set up properly or not? You can go and see, are they collecting email addresses and sending out campaigns to people? You can use your mobile phone to check and see, does their website come up in a mobile format, things like that. So take advantage of that information. I mean, if you call without that information, you really are just kind of shooting yourself in the foot there, and it's lazy. So definitely take the time to just do a couple minutes of homework so that what you're dealing with, and you can use that information as an advantage to try and get through to the right person. So those are really important things. The other one that you said give them a chance. You're going to give them a chance to kind of act like a decision maker and help you out a little bit. Let's go through an actual example of what you mean by that kind of in conversation. So, you're calling me. I'm Mike the Gatekeeper.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe I'm trying to reach Joe Thompson or something.
Trying to reach Joe Thompson. I say, no, Ben, I'm not sure what this is regarding, but Joe isn't available right now. Can I help you with something?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. Actually, I'm not even sure if I should be speaking with Joe. My understanding is that you guys are in the restaurant industry. Is that accurate?
Yep. Yeah. That's
okay.
Right.
Well, the reason why I'm calling is I had it here that Joe is the guy that would make sort of the marketing decisions around your business, ways that we can improve your presence on the web, those kind of things. Is that inaccurate? Or are you the person that I should be speaking with, or should I go down a different
No,
road?
it's not me, but it's also not Joe either. It's Bob.
Okay.
Bob's the marketing guy. So
perfect. If he's available, I'd love to talk with him. If not, I'll lean on you to tell me the best route.
So essentially, he's letting the gatekeeper help him out. You're giving that person some authority to help them or to let them kind of make some decisions about the path that you should go down and help you out. And I know one of the things that you say that I used to always say too is hey, maybe you could give me a hand here. Maybe you could help me out. I'm not sure I'm the right person to be talking to. One of the advanced sales strategies that's taught in like Sandler selling, which if you're not familiar with Sandler selling, great sales training program out there and great books, is dumbing up, right? And I always like that, but you don't have to be a know-it-all on the phone. You don't have to act like you're so perfectly polished and you've got everything all together. You can, hey, I'm not sure if I'm going the right route here and I'm talking to the right person, or I'm asking for the right person. Maybe you can give me a hand.
Yeah, and I would say too, Mike, back on the point where you said do your homework, don't go in without knowing your stuff. I think it's important too not to go in and tell them what they're doing. Again, play dumb. I asked you in that role play, you guys are in the restaurant industry, is that correct? And I'm asking for confirmation. I'm not calling up Mike and say, yeah, Mike, I know you guys are in the restaurant industry. This is why I'm calling, because this is what I do. I'm giving him a chance to open up, give me a response, let him speak. It's one of the old lessons in sales is you should listen a whole lot more than you talk. So I'm just applying the same principle there. That playing dumb technique works great.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. Just looking at some of the other notes. Let's see.
I would say also when you said, hey, I need to speak with Bob, I would write that down. Next time you call, if Bob's not available this time, you don't want to go through the whole practice. Who am I supposed to be speaking with again? I'm sorry, Mike. I forget. That total dead in the water right there. I'm a big fan of organization. Take notes every time you can.
Yep. Okay, cool. So let's play that one out a little bit further. So you gave me a call. I said, no, it's actually Bob that you should be speaking with.
Sure.
Then what are you doing? So obviously, great. Now you know the name of the person that you should be speaking with. How are you then trying to advance the call from there?
Perfect. Well, like I said, I would ask if he's available that instant to talk to. Chances are no. She's going to say no, he's out of the office or in a meeting or whatever the case, or you are. So in that case, then I will, because it's a new contact, it'll be very important for me to get the right, accurate contact information. Okay, Mike, so I understand Bob's tied up. Is there a better time that I should reach him? Should I call you when I try to reach him next time? Is there a better number I should try to reach him on? Do you mind if I take down his email address so that I can give him a heads up that I'm calling? I'd rather not be calling out of the blue each time. So I'm trying to get as much information from you that you're willing to give to me. I'm not trying to pry it away from you.
Right.
That's how I'd approach it.
It's good. You're trying to fill in the blanks.
Right.
So I just found out it's Bob. That's great. That's a name. Now I'm trying to get phone number, trying to get email, trying to find out, hey, is there a best time of the day that Bob is actually reachable?
And sometimes I'll ask, is this Bob's only function? I know in today's day and age, small businesses, people wear multiple hats. Is Bob focused on a lot of other things? Is there a way that I should try to, certain time of the day, certain time that I should reach him where he's focused on this aspect of the business, that type of stuff, so that I'm not wasting my time.
Yep.
And I stay organized and put it in my calendar, put it in my notes so I know what to do.
Yep, makes good sense. So let's say, okay, so you get off of this call, you didn't reach Bob, but now you know it's Bob. Mm-hmm. The next time you go to call, and you know you're going for Bob, what's your approach then? You call up, you get me again.
Yep, I'm not going to, again, this is where the notes are important. I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm going to say, hey, Mike, don't know if you remember me. I called a few days back. You actually said that I should speak with Bob about such and such, whatever it is that you're calling about, marketing for restaurants, marketing for whatever it is that you're working on. So, Mike, you said I should speak with Bob regarding the marketing for the restaurant business you're running there. Is he available now?
Got it.
I'm going to jump right down into the same path.
Got it. So, and I remember one time we had a conversation pretty recently where you told me that you would also just take like a much more direct route. Like if you know it was Bob and the secretary calls up.
Oh yeah, my apologies. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Right,
I mean, you could have more than one approach.
Right out of the gate. Anytime I have the name, there's two approaches. There's the approach that we've been talking about, dumbing it down, giving them a chance. Now that I know it's Bob, I can just call into Mike and say, hey Mike, Ben Berghoff, calling for Bob Smith, please.
Yeah, so just a very direct, very kind of assumptive, hey, I'm going to get through to the person I'm calling, hey, Ben Berghoff calling for Ben. Ben Berghoff calling for Bob.
Right.
Right.
And so it also, by stating what my name is in the front end, it sort of disarms the gatekeeper at times. Let's say they're having a crappy day. Let's say they're in a rut and they're just saying the exact same thing to every person who calls in. No, he's not. Can I ask who's calling or any of that stuff? By saying my name, by stating why I'm calling, who I'm calling for, it takes Mike out of his comfort zone of saying, yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, you already told me who's calling. This guy must know who. It sort of throws him off.
Just kind of interrupts the pattern a little bit.
Right. Yep. So that's a good point. Sometimes I use the company name. Sometimes I don't. I just sort of have to. It is one of those things where you have to judge. You have to learn how to judge people's attitudes by the way they sound on the phone. You know, if they're sounding welcome, sounding open, or if they're sounding really hurried. Hi, this is Mike, or hi, this is Bob Smith's company. How can I help you? I know, okay, I'm going to be quick to the point. This guy is down to business. Mike, this is Ben Berghoff calling for Bob Smith, please.
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah. Real important lessons here. Tailor your approach a bit to who you're talking to, right? And I think that, old sales guy that I used to work with at my old business, his name was Chris, kind of like Ben, one of these guys that just outsells everybody, fantastic salesperson. He used to talk about how if there was a woman between the age of like 35 and 65 that was a secretary, he knew he was in. Because this guy was this big teddy bear of a guy. He's a huge guy. But he just comes across as this lovable teddy bear of a guy. And when he heard that woman's voice, he was so good at just kind of, oh, hey, Sally, how you doing? You know, it's Chris again. Yep, just calling to check in one more time, you know. And his approach was so warm that women just loved him. And eventually they just caved. You know, they were just like, oh, it's great. Oh, Chris, yeah, let me see if I can find a time on his calendar, right? Versus an opposite story, when I was doing sales back in my old business, there was this guy, this is in Boston, and if you've never lived in Boston, it's kind of like, you know, some of those shows that you watch about being a cop, like in New York City, where everybody is a jerk, to say it nicely, right? In Boston, when you're trying to make sales calls to people that don't know you, some of those good old Boston guys can feel like they can say whatever they want to anybody that's interrupting their day, right? Mm-hmm. And there used to be this guy that I was calling on that literally would just chew me out over the phone. Every 4-letter, you know, word you can imagine. Just like, you know, he had just some right to just roll all over me. My approach that ended up working with that guy was I ended up cutting him off right in the middle of him talking to me like that, and I attacked right back and cussed at him right back. Now, normally this is not something that I would have thought to have done. It was really honestly just a reaction, just because I was ticked off with this guy. But that was the only way that I was able to stop this guy in his tracks, was by matching his tone and mirroring his tone and his approach, which is a sales strategy, mirroring people. I was able to get his respect, and I actually ended up going and turning that guy into a client for, you know, he was like a 5-year client of ours. And it's because he was so used to being able to push people around that when he got pushed back, he had respect for me. So you've got to think about, you know, you've got to tailor your approach to who it is that you're calling. I mean, when I used to call up somebody that I could tell obviously was having a bad day, my line that used to always work for me was, oh, geez, Ben, I can tell you're having a pretty rough day and you're getting a call from another salesperson. I'm sure you're freaking thrilled. So, look, I'm only going to take 1 minute of your time here. And people used to love that because I would disarm them. I would be honest with them about, hey, I'm a salesperson and I know you don't want to talk to me. And people would like that. So they would actually lower their guard a little bit and go, oh, yeah, I'm having a tough day. You can tell in my voice, huh? And I was like, yeah, you know, sounds like it's a pretty rough one. Next thing you know, we're joking around. We're talking about why they're having a tough day. We're talking about the Red Sox score that, you know, the game before, you know, yada, yada. Before you know it, I've got my contact that I'm supposed to be getting, and they're trying to get me some time on their calendar. So you've got to match the approach, match the style, you know, consider tailoring your approach to who you're talking to. Like Ben said, no one thing works for everybody. But I do think that he gave some really, really good advice here, which is, you know, one, treat them with respect. I can't think of a good reason not to.
Who wants to be treated badly?
Yeah, who wants to be treated badly, right? So, you know, let's all just say that, hey, our approach is going to be to treat people with respect. I think you get further that way. Definitely develop better relationships that way. Be organized. Do your homework before you call. Take good notes. You know, don't be lazy in your approach, right? And so many salespeople are. I mean, we talked about this before in different parts of the Chase Formula course about how so many people are contacting sales prospects right now with the exact same, hey, we can get you ranked in #1 in Google. You know, I don't know anything about your business. I haven't looked at anything. It's just the same monotonous approach, and it's like every business owner gets that message 5 times a day right now. It's terrible. So, you know, do a little bit of homework.
Yeah, I would also add too, Mike, one of the things that you mentioned a moment ago is be honest about why you're calling. I'm not a big fan of lying whenever you can avoid it. Although I will say there are different times. I feel like a lot of the strategies we've been talking about today are from a cold call perspective versus,
right.
Let's say you attended a big conference or something and you have a stack of business cards that you're calling through.
Somebody came to a webinar.
Exactly. Yeah. Webinar. Whenever you have a list of people that all came from a single source, I feel like you can take a different approach, and it's not like I'm saying that you should lie, but I've seen a lot of my colleagues have success calling to say, you know, hey Jim, we met at such and such, or I don't know if you remember, but you asked me to call about this. And maybe he didn't actually ask to be called about that, but it was the fact that he attended the event, he attended the webinar, whatever it is, that allows you to sort of push the lines of the truth a little bit on why it is that you're calling. And it sort of lowers the guard a little bit. Hey, you volunteered your information at this place. That's why I'm calling.
So one of the strategies that I share in the Chase formula is to use the line either in an email or in a call. Hey, I was talking to, and I named somebody else in their industry that hopefully that they know, and your name came up. That every time will get somebody, oh, really? Yeah, what was the conversation? They automatically want to know what you're talking about and why their name came up. So, yeah, that's one of those where, again, you could be stretching the truth a little bit. I prefer, and this is when I talk about the 6 prospecting power boosters, that at any time that you are outselling, that you are keeping those in mind so that you can try and make sure that you're not lying, that you are telling the truth. So literally, if this was one of my clients, right, and I was talking to him today, before I wrapped up the conversation, if I knew I was going to be calling Bob later on, I'd say, hey, Ben, do you happen to know Bob, blah, 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 one of your competitors in, across town?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I brought Bob's name up in the conversation, and literally, when I call that person next, I would say, hey, Bob, I was just having a conversation with Ben earlier today, and your name came up. Just wanted to reach out and just take a few minutes to tell you why that was. Now, that's not a lie. Now, we didn't have a conversation. I just said that his name came up. So, again, we don't advocate just completely, lying, completely stretching the truth, but you try and incorporate those things in your conversation so that you can use them to your advantage at any time.
Yeah, I think another perfect example is oftentimes a line you'll get from a gatekeeper is he expecting your call? Right? That's a line that I get all the time. Now, if I have a list from an event, I tend to say, I believe so. I don't say yes, I don't say no. I say, I believe so. We exchange information at such and such.
Or, again, in the Chase formula, in our email sequences, we'll email somebody and say, hey, I'm going to be giving you a call later on. I'd appreciate it if you look out for the call. That type of thing.
So powerful. Voicemail, email, call, email combination is the best.
So when somebody says, is he expecting your call? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely is.
I'm sure he is. I sent him an email asking for him to expect my call. So, again, you want to use those things to your advantage. You want to incorporate them anytime you're having conversations, using email, things like that, so that you can get past some of those little gatekeeper hurdles that come up all the time, right? So, some tips there. So, I think this is great stuff. We can cut it off here. Again, just practice some of these fundamentals. It's all in here. It's all in the course. The prospecting power boosters. How to incorporate these things into email. How to incorporate them into your calls. Treat that gatekeeper with respect, but at the same time, be confident, be firm. Ask for what you want. Try and get the email. Try and get the phone number, and be persistent. Right. Call back, be friendly, call back, be friendly, call back, be friendly, and have that, have that candid conversation. Hey, Ben, you know what? This is the 4th time I've talked to you in the last week, and I know that Mark is very, very busy. I get that. What do you think I should do? Just try and get 5 minutes of his time real quick. Can you help me out with that?
I hate to keep wasting yours. Tell me what I should do. I don't want to keep bothering you.
Yeah. Exactly. So just ask the questions. Be candid and have a forthright conversation with him, and it's amazing how far you'll get. All right? So thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
Thank you.